Hi friends, Mindy here. Today I am collaborating with Sonja from MyHappySpace. I'm just showing you, I'm going to be working in her devotional. Those are some papers that come with it. And she has a series called Bible Journaling Bingo where she picks 3 prompts and works from them. And she just pulls them out of a bag. And so she sent me those 3 prompts, and they are washi tape, eyelets, and mixed media background. And so we're each going to create with those 3 prompts. And what I have decided to do is create some tags to go in my devotional booklet here that I made. Now this is a devotional that Sonja wrote, and she is currently giving it away for free. So if you haven't had a chance to grab that, be sure to do that. So anyway, so the first thing I'm going to do here is create my mixed media background on these 2 tags. Now I have a wet paintbrush here, and I'm just drying it because I want to dry brush some color onto these tags. These tags are not made with the best quality paper, so I don't want to add a whole lot of moisture to them. So I thought that this was going to be the best way. In the end, you'll see I work through it a different way, but I'm just dry brushing some color on here. It's not exactly the color I was hoping for. If you have seen any of Sonja's devotionals before, you know she likes to use a lot of bright colors, happy colors, and pinks and blues and stuff. So I wanted to kind of do a nod to that, and also have these so that they will coordinate inside my devotional booklet. And so I'm at the end of kind of the first section, and so I decided it would be a good time now to add some journaling and things. So I'm going to create these cards. So I've now moved on to this pink color. And at this point, I'm just not really liking how it's going. So what I decided to do is just do some finger painting. This is a technique that I like to do. It really just kind of gives a really hazy kind of look, and you can get some interesting blends between the colors without the colors mixing. Basically, I'm using the blue and the pink and gesso, and kind of using them to make the blends. I'm using the gesso to do that. So you'll see me using different fingers. I have a finger for the blue and a finger for the pink and a finger for the gesso, and you can kind of just blend the colors together right there on the tag. And so just mixing up some more of my pink color here, and you'll see, and it kind of gives it like a I don't know, like a hazy kind of cloudy, just a real soft finish. And it just, I really like the way that it turns out. And I'm sorry about my camera is doing something weird. I can see it's like going light and dark. I don't have no idea. Really rainy day here, so I don't know if that's affecting it or anything. But anyway, back to what I'm doing. So again, I'm just going back and forth using different fingers, different colors, just kind of layering the color on top of each other. It dries pretty quickly, so you can add layers right over the top of the next one after it dries. You can see how it just kind of gives a real, I don't know, it actually ends up looking, it kind of has a lot more dimension this way. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just a fun technique. And so I'm just showing here, I went ahead and did both cards. This is the back side of the second one, tag, and I'm just showing you here, you don't have to do the dry brushing first. I actually was just doing this basically to cover up the dry brushing that I did at first that I didn't really like. It was too harsh. So now I'm just going in with the same colors, the blue and the white and the pink here, and just adding some gesso, mixing the colors, blending them around until I get something that is the way that I want it to look. So now I'm coming back through, I watered down those same 3 colors, and with a paintbrush I'm just coming in and doing some splatters. Really, really hard to see on the camera here, but it just adds another layer of dimension on these tags. And I purposely left some areas white, some areas with more gesso, and then I'll come back in with some white gesso that's watered down as well at the end, and just add some more splatters with that. So you can see that here. It just gives it another layer to work with. So at this point I pulled in some vellum that I had. This is it's just printed vellum. It's got these little flowers on it, and there's a lot of kind of floral elements in the kit, so I thought this would coordinate well. So I'm just kind of tearing out a couple of sections, and I'm going to create some pockets on these tags. And so I have this first one here. I'm just kind of just trying to decide how much of it I want to use. So I'm just going to pull out my eyelets here. I have some pink ones and some blue ones and then some black and white ones. This was part of the 3 items that we need to use for our Bible journaling bingo. So what I'm going to do is use these eyelets to adhere my vellum down. This is a good way to do that if you're not, if you're worried about your adhesive showing through or whatever. You can just attach it using some eyelets. So I'm just going to be putting 3 eyelets on here to create a little pocket out of this vellum. I'm just kind of sorting through, finding all the colors that I need. And I have a We Are Memory Keepers tool to do this. I actually have a really old, the kind where you use the hammer and whatever from back in the day, but this is just much easier to use. So one side has the little hole that you punch, and then the other side has the setting piece. So you just put it in there and squeeze, and it sets the eyelet. So that's what all 3 of them look like. You can see this one is not quite set all the way, so it's no big deal. You just stick it back in there and give it another little squeeze, and that flattens it out on the back side. So now I have my little pocket here, and I'm going to trim off the rest of this vellum that I don't need, and that will just create my little pocket here on this card. And then I have a little white tag. I'm going to leave it bright white, and I'm decided though that I would add a little eyelet just to kind of pull all of these together. So I needed to make a little bit bigger of a hole there. The hole in this tag was really tiny, so I just made a bigger hole, and then I set an eyelet in that same blue color on the top of that just to kind of make them coordinate. And at this point I realized I was getting paint everywhere still, so I went ahead and cleaned up my workspace, and now I'm moving on here, just creating this eyelet here. I had to kind of pull everything apart when I was cleaning, but anyway, so I just went ahead and set that eyelet, and it's going to tuck there into my little tag. It's like a tag within a tag, but the more elements for me that are like interactive, the better. So what I'm going to do here, just to add some dimension, it was at this point I realized one of the other things we were supposed to be using was washi tape, and I had pulled some aside, but I had pulled some out and I just set it aside, and so at this point I realized I needed to start using it. So I'm just wrapping this tag here, and the reason I'm doing it this way, if you could just cover the front and cover the back and then trim it off, but it leaves kind of the edges exposed, and they can kind of pull up sometimes with wear, so I went ahead and just wrapped it all the way around so that the edges of the tag have a nice clean look to them. So now I'm going to turn my attention to this other tag, and I'm trying to decide where I want to position this vellum. I thought I would, I couldn't really decide, and then I just kind of in the middle decided I should put some washi tape on this tag. I kind of random in the way that I work sometimes, but I wanted to do that before I set the eyelets on this particular tag. So now I'm pulling back the vellum, and I'm going to create my pocket. And at this point I'm just kind of measuring, and I realized that this piece is just too tall, so I'm going to tear it down a little bit. And then I was trying to decide, I really wanted to get to where I could use 3 that had like 3 flowers on there, so I just ended up like changing the direction of the pocket. So I figured out a way I could just tear it the opposite direction, and then I could get all 3 little flowers on there. So I'm just kind of lining this up where I want it, and now I will do the same process and set some eyelets. Now these pink colors, I actually have some that look like the head of a snap. It's just flat on one side, and you set them exactly the same way. The process is exactly the same. It's just that they're smooth and flat on one side instead of having a hole. If I would have used these on the blue ones, except I didn't have the right color, so I'm just using this. And I'm showing on this We Are Memory Keepers tool, there's actually a flat side, so when you're setting it, you just put the flat side up against the flat part of like basically the snap, and then set it that way. So it just is another way to just add some dimension, and I just like the way that looks without having the whole eyelet. It's just a little bit different. So I've had these for years. I can't tell you where I got them, it's, I've had them in my stash for a really, really long time. So it's good to be able to use up some of these things that are in my stash. So I don't often pull out eyelets, but the great thing about this Bible journaling bingo is things I wouldn't necessarily have thought maybe to put together are going together. So I went ahead and added an eyelet to that other little tag as well. And now on the back side of this tag, I am just adding another layer of washi just to kind of cover the sort of the bad side of the eyelets. There's still one that's exposed. It doesn't bother me, but it just having this little piece down at the bottom just adds some dimension. And I'm using this pink washi because I used this particular washi when I created the journal for to cover the spine. So at this point I thought I needed to add something, so I brought in the ephemera pieces from the kit, and these I had printed on clear sticker paper. So I decided I was just going to cut out some of these flowers and add them just directly to the pocket. I'm just trying to go for some dimension and some layering and everything. I wasn't sure I had really done enough to meet the challenge for the mixed media background necessarily, so I'm just trying to pull out a bunch of different things to use on this tag. So I pulled back just a section of the backing paper just so I could get this where I wanted it to go, and then I took off the rest of the release paper and trimmed off the excess, and then I'm going to take my bone folder here and just burnish this down. When you do that with clear sticker paper, it just really helps sharpen the image, so because otherwise it can kind of have a cloudy look to it. So that's just one trick. And then on this other card I'm going to use this big flower, and I'm trying to decide where I want it. I thought I could put it in the middle as a focal point, and then I just kind of decide I need to cut it out so I can kind of get a better idea. And I like the idea of things kind of hanging off the edge a little bit. I just feel like that is really striking. So a lot of times I will have things that are just kind of going off the edge just ever so slightly. It just adds some interest. So I'm going to go through the same process. I stuck the sticker down, and then it went up over this eyelet that I had set. So I'm just going to trim off the excess, and I'm going to use my X-Acto knife here, and I'm just going to cut around that eyelet there and then just pull the sticker off of there, no problem, and then burnishing that down as well. And then my little tags are going to go inside there. So this is what everything looks like completed. I used one of her ephemera pieces and I wrote a prayer, and it's kind of hidden underneath this. It's meant to look like it's being held on there with washi tape, so I just only put some adhesive behind that section, and then that's just covering a little prayer. And then these are my finished tags. So again, the prompts that we were using were eyelets, a mixed media background, and washi tape. So I had some scriptures that were included in the devotional, and then I wrote down a couple other ones that just came to me. So I have scriptures on these little white tags, both on the front and the back, and then also on the back side of these tags. And I also added a little pink bow to each one of the top of the little tiny tags, and they will just slide right in this little pocket here in my little devotional journal. So anyway, that makes up for Bible journaling bingo. Be sure to check out Sonja's channel, get your free devotional from her as well, and see her video of how she did a page using these same 3 prompts. So if you liked this video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And until next time, bye-bye.